Hello everybody, before the video starts, photosensitivity warning. There's a lot of flashing lights. Just giving you a heads up before we get started. Picayune Dreams, a survivor's bullet heaven and hell roguelike. You play as Cell, the lone survivor of an ill-fated voyage. Fortunately, your suit is specially made to keep you alive in situations like this. All you have to do is kill off all of the hordes of interdimensional beings, absorb their life essence, and augment yourself with upgrades, each expanding your arsenal with deadly weapons. The more of these upgrades you have, the more enemies you can kill. The more enemies you can kill, the more experience you can gain. The more experience you can gain, the more upgrades you get. Eventually growing so strong you become a natural disaster. But that's later. For now, you gotta fight a boss.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Tank.
Tank who?
You're welcome.
After making quick work of the boss, time to fight more hordes of enemies. Maybe too many hordes of enemies. Okay, maybe an overwhelming amount of it, and you're dead. Oh well. Though no worry, next time you'll come back stronger. After every game, you're awarded skill points based on how many experience points you've acquired, which can be spent over in the skill tree. Everything is technically unlocked, however you'll need to spend skill points in order to use them. You can have a max of 25 skills active at any time, such as increasing enemy damage taken by 10% if affected by status effects, universally increase all damage by 1, bosses drop health vials on kill, when a boss spawns, suck up all remaining experience on the map, bosses start with 20% less health, bosses drop a drill when killed, which upgrades one of your stats at the cost of downgrading another, or the statue skill, which causes each zone to spawn a new statue, of which can grant you various buffs. There's not enough skill points to activate everything, so you're gonna have to pick and choose your favorites.
Congratulations, Izukami. You are among the top 0.01% of applicants we received. It is a great pleasure to inform you that you have been selected for the program. If you could have your things prepared by the 23rd of January, we'd like to start training from then on. I'm sure you're aware of the risks and responsibilities you are accepting. Humanity thanks you.
So, about the upgrades, you might notice that their descriptions are filled with a lot of gibberish. However, it's all just programming language. It tells you literally exactly what the upgrade does. Which, if you can't understand it, that's fine. Over in the main menu, collectibles, upgrades, you can see what every item does in plain English. But if you want to really know what it does, there's the actual code for how the upgrade works. Like how the I-beam projects out a pixel-wide laser that deals 1 damage every frame. If you collect more of them, it increases the laser's pixel width by another pixel, as well as increasing the damage by 1, so now it is 2 damage per frame. I like combining it with the elemental upgrades, which adds an extra % chance to deal a status effect whenever you deal damage. The I-beam deals damage every frame. Every time it deals damage, it has a chance to inflict the status effect. Said status effects deal more and more damage the more you collect, making whatever you look at die. All this talk about upgrades is pretty cool and all, however, you can't have all of them, because you can only have a maximum of 12 items. But once you reach that point, any upgrades you get coming forward are only items that you have collected. When you upgrade something, you can either make one thing that you already have stronger, or become more varied. So you've got on-the-fly decision making depending on your need. Oh hey, what's up, Alexis? Hey, Harley. I was wondering if, like, you were interested in maybe, if... Oh, Alexis. Any other time I would. I definitely would. It means a lot, it really does. With all of this, the world ending, the tests, and the mission coming up, I can't. I just can't. You understand, right, Alexis? Alexis?
Yeah, I understand. Of course.
Overall, the game is a blast to play if you can handle the on-screen effects. But I'd say it's worth the $5 on Steam. It's $5 on Steam? Ooh. But you know what? That's $5 well spent. Alright. This is the part of the video where I say, please leave and go play the game before I spoil the story, because I want to talk about the story for the rest of the video. Though honestly, the story's only there to add substance to the gameplay, kind of like a lore reason for why things are even happening. And some of it's kind of wishy-washy, but I just want to talk about it for the rest of the video. So, spoiler warning is done. Alright, time to talk about the lore. So I think I can sum up the story in 2 words. Picayune Dreams. Wait, what do you mean? That's just the title of the game. Well, actually, there's a character called Picayune whose mind gets consumed by the apparition, an interdimensional warp in reality causing all of these hordes of monsters to exist in the first place. Picayune only reached this breaking point because they were sent on a mission to go destroy the apparition, but it was far stronger than they anticipated. The resulting stress and insanity caused her mind to fracture. So hard, in fact, it withdrew from her body entirely, left to decay like all the others on the ship. Except, your suit was specially made to force your survival in conditions like these. So in reality, when you start the game, you play as the body of Picayune sent on the mission to destroy the apparition, slowly absorbing it by defeating enemies and killing bosses, and become an apparition of your own, which is when you finally do battle with the heart of it all, the mind of Picayune.
Hey, good looking. It's a compliment from me to you. Right.
Only after Picayune's defeat were you able to return home with your mission finally complete. Though Cell doesn't see it that way. She returns to an Earth with air that tastes of plastic and charcoal. A world overrun by pollution and war. It almost seems like the nightmarish events that she was put through wasn't even worth the effort. On top of that, she doesn't know who she is. She used to be Picayune, but now she's Cell. Bound to a world that never changes and dead set on meeting its own demise. That is, unless you get the true ending, which is only achieved by flawlessing every boss, and then, after defeating Picayune, Cell decides to give her another chance at life, offering her a way to relieve herself of the apparition, while also reviving the remaining humans that were turned into the bosses you fought. While reluctant at first, Picayune eventually agrees. The incredible amount of energy within the apparition released from Picayune restores everybody to their human selves, and everything lives happily ever after. Personally, I feel the true ending's a little sudden and a little rushed, but it's a short and small game, so it's fine. Though I kind of find it interesting that Picayune has an entirely separate body from Cell, so now they're just twins, even though one of them is the original body and the other is the original mind, so... It's also mentioned by one of the people you revived that the government agency that actually backed the whole program to getting this group of people up into space in the first place is under flak, because, it turns out all the corruption has finally been revealed about what kind of horrific activities have been done behind the scenes. So all the emotional trauma that all of the characters have went through are finally getting retribution. Speaking of bosses, I'd like to spend the next time actually talking about all of them. They've all got unique character quirks, backstories, and boss fighting styles that makes them unique and memorable. First off, Iju, the rabbit.
This is so fun.
I'm not having fun. She's a very optimistic and playful person with a hyperfixation on rabbits. But underneath, she is a very tortured soul, bound by the burdens of meeting the expectations of not just her friends, her family, but also the organization, in efforts to save the world from the aberration. In one of the memories, you can find a journal where she wrote down her thoughts on the whole mission. Her explaining her frustration with not wanting to seem selfish, but also not wanting to risk her life to save humanity, nor be the reason humanity can't be saved. Though she seems to be taking it fairly well with the comfort of her friends within the program. Her boss fight is relatively simple, with 4 easily dodgeable phases. But what's more interesting is outside the boss fights, in the dialogue boxes. Anytime she's on screen, she tries to make a joke, lighten everyone's mood, even appearing in other bosses' monologues for some reason. Next is Matt, the worm.
How many times do you think you've died, so? 5, 10, 50, 100? Surely you've lost count.
124 times.
Let's make it 125 times, shall we?
Sometime early on in the program, he sacrificed himself mentally and physically and was turned into a cyborg, with the idea that it would help him focus more on the mission and hopefully its completion. Though something interesting, during his memory minigame, it shows a perspective of before and after he gets his cybernetics, where after everything just gets lopsided and corrupted. The only way he now recognizes things is just through labels. Everything he interacts with has specific tags to go along with it. Even his co-workers have tags, of which reveals the personalities of all of them. Except Picayune, who just has a normal dialogue box, and is the only one within this memory minigame that even has a normal dialogue box. My interpretation is that Matt and all of the other co-workers hold Picayune in very high regards, as they're probably the best of the group, undeniably. Anyways, that's kinda neat, but on to the actual worm boss fight, where we've upgraded from cybernetics to just a brain. Oh, and he's traveling in a segmented spaceship that breaks apart the more you break it, causing more bullets to fly all over the place if you don't keep track of where the independent segments are. Just cause of this, the worm is my favorite boss fight. Oh, random thing, remember the I-beam? One of my favorite things to do is combine it with the electric eel that causes the stun chance. That and try to get enough damage upgrades to just point my laser directly at the worm, and each segment will one by one get destroyed, but interestingly, because everything is getting hit and all segments are connected, if one of them gets stunned, all of them get stunned. So it's very likely that the I-beam will just stun things. I have had runs where I've gotten so powerful that I can just laser beam his entire ship before he's even able to get close to me. But yeah, good boss fight. Next is Harley, the biker.
How many times are you gonna get stuck here, Cell? Over and over again, give in and join us.
I'll join spinning corn chip and weird floating face before I join your lame one. They can be regarded as one of the weaker people within the group, not exactly due to a lack of skill, but the tendency to cheat their way to the top. They only got in the program at all because of their cheating tendencies. Why they did so in the first place is not explicitly said. But throughout the mini-memory mini-games, it is hinted at that Harley has been going over a lot of guilt tripping by the organization members, which ends up greatly affecting their sanity. Only saving grace is the relationship they have with Alexis, the next boss that I'll get into in a bit. The two find solace within the hellish program they find themselves in. As long as they have each other, everything will be fine. You know, till the accident happens, but that's later. Oh, also within their memory has one of my favorite moments just in the memory in general, where it's just Harley biking through the suburbs with some lo-fi music in the background. It's the most calm we ever see any of our characters. Now as for their boss form, the biker, frankly kind of a bit of a pushover. Most of the time they try to run you over with their bike, very easy to dodge. There's a lot of creative attacks with like the bike being thrown through the air, projectiles all over the place, different angles of attack. I just personally don't like the boss fight as much. It ends up getting over with very quickly. Anyways, Alexis, the demon.
I really like your upgrade, Sal.
Thank you.
I bet if I had your suit, I would pick the worst upgrades. I probably wouldn't even make it this far.
She's really good at what she does, but has a lot of self-doubt issues. Mostly stemming from the thoughts that her actions will not be enough and others deserve their place much more than she does. Which, quite a negative outlook on reality, but with how hellish the Earth has become within their world, and the traumatizing events that all of our other characters have gone through up until this point, self-doubt issues are not the craziest.
Though, like what I mentioned earlier, main reason why she's still in the program is because of Harley.
Because of them, Alexis is more than willing to get out of her shell, if anything, just to be there with Harley. Now, her boss fight as the demon is really hard. I would honestly say her attack patterns are far more difficult to dodge than the final boss Picayune. I mean, look on the screen, look at how many projectiles are all over the place and you have to dodge all around them just to be able to survive a bit longer. Also, you can't run away from the demon. Get too far, she teleports right on top of you. You are forced to be in the center of the storm and hopefully survive the next wave of bullets. But now with everyone out of the way, it's time for Picayune. As Picayune.
148 trips into the void of space, so... You're keeping count?
Not much else to do out here, is there?
Well, I'm glad to keep you entertained for forever and ever, right?
Who names their kid Picayune? I mean, like, we got Iju, Matt, Harley, Alexis, Picayune. Okay, off-topic thing. Apparently there's a city in Mississippi that's called Picayune. Do what you will with that information. Anyways, before the accident, Picayune was one of the higher performing people within the program, acting as the leader of the group, one which all the other co-workers talk with. Though at this point, co-workers is not what they are anymore. They're all friends. Friends that Picayune cared very much for. So when it was finally time for the mission that they have trained many months for, to finally go defeat the apparition, and then the realization that it was far stronger than anticipated, causing the whole spaceship to fall apart, Picayune fell into a panic state. Realizing that all their efforts will be for nothing, they're going to die out in space for no reason whatsoever. Eventually her mind cracked open, releasing a monster deep within, given birth by the apparition. Though, with what was left of her sanity, Picayune used the apparition to turn all of her friends into the bosses that you fight, granting them monstrous forms in their own ways, but now they can survive the insanity that they're stuck in. Which leads us to the actual boss fight against Picayune, which, if that earlier edit is something to go by, is a very trippy experience. Background fades away, replaced by warped faces. Bullet patterns fly from all angles. It's hard to even tell what you're supposed to be shooting half the time. But an interesting detail within all the phases is that the health bar is not on the boss, but above you. Reason being is that you are technically Picayune, but without the memories, because the memories are what you're fighting. You're fighting the mind of Picayune, your mind. You are fighting yourself, which for story purposes is a very interesting detail. It's also kind of shown during the third phase when you're fighting against something that very much looks like your character, so they're not really hiding that fact. So that was a video on Picayune Dreams. Again, I'd highly recommend checking it out. Going forward in the future, I'm thinking on trying to make game review videos like these, because I really want to talk about them. I know I've had that one project, the Murders Project, that I want to work on, but I feel like I work best when I have something else to work on alongside it, just so I can have a break from things so I don't get burnout. That's the idea, at least. I'll still work on that Murders animation. I'll get an update out when I actually have more stuff to show. But yeah, I've been DeanSpillaBean, back on your screen with a game review for Picayune Dreams. Thank you all for watching, hope you enjoyed it at least some amount, and you all have a good night.